Before we talk about freedom, we have to talk about formation. The mask didn't appear out of nowhere. It was shaped by pain, by pressure, by protection, and today we trace it back. Welcome to Unveiled. Welcome back to Unveiled, the podcast, a space where masks come off, truth comes forth, and freedom begins. I'm your host, Taylor Picot. If you caught the first episode, then you already know we have started a journey of unmasking, a journey of remembering who we are before life began, putting any other demand on our identity. In the first episode, I extended a formal invite for you to be seen, for you to see yourself fully, truthfully, beyond the filters, beyond the striving, beyond the pretending. Here's the thing. Before we can fully release the mask, we have to understand why we put it on in the first place. The truth is that freedom doesn't start with ripping something off. It starts with understanding what shaped it. And today, we're tracing the origin story of the mask, of fear, of protection, of identity. And it is my hope and prayer that this conversation we have today will be the start of you seeing your mask with compassion and not condemnation, so that you can truly be set on a path of true joy, real peace, and a newfound freedom. So, what is a mask really? I literally saw a quote yesterday that said, if you look carefully, everyone is pretending. I took that as confirmation for the things I plan to touch on throughout the duration of our time together today. In the first episode, I gave us a concrete definition of what unveiled means. Before we further ourselves along in this conversation, I want to relay the foundation by reiterating what this concept of unveiling truly means. As I previously shared, the word unveil, it simply means to reveal or disclose by or as if by removing a veil or covering. It is the disclosure of something previously hidden that often involves the removal of a covering. I think it's very important as we journey forward that we understand this as we get into discussing what a mask really is. Hear me. When I say mask, I'm not talking about one of those costumes that people wear for like Halloween or something. I'm talking about the emotional, spiritual, psychological layers we wear to feel safe, accepted, protected, and overall mask things as something that they're truly not. Masks like the strong one, the perfectionist, the overachiever, the always happy girl, the church girl who never questions anything. Let me just say, these masks are not random. We didn't choose them for no reason. They were responses, and they were formed in homes that taught us that being seen was dangerous, formed in churches that celebrated performance more than presence, formed in cultures that demand we be palatable to be respected, formed in moments, trauma, rejection, loss, abandonment. Your nervous system decided, if I act like this, they'll accept me. If I shrink this part, I'll be safe. If I cover this flaw, I'll belong. And so we put the mask on. The mask, it became strategy. It became wisdom for the wounded version of you. Now, you weren't hiding because you were fake. You were hiding because it wasn't safe to be real. And so I want to unpack this a little bit more because I believe that there is a psychology of hiding. And I want to unpack the why behind our hiding. Psychologists call this adaptive behavior, meaning you adapted to survive. I want to continue to emphasize being seen not just as it aligns with the physical world and external realm, but if we are being completely honest, there are some things that you have deeply buried to even keep them from yourself. I mean, if I can keep these parts from me, then surely it's easy to keep it from anyone else, right? You learned, and your brain has been wired in such a way to avoid rejection. You overachieve. To avoid abandonment, you people please. To avoid pain, you numb out or shut down. Any of these sound familiar? These are signs of weakness. These are signs that you actually lived through something. But let me tell you this, what protected you in one season might be suffocating you now. Mask, external and internal, help us survive. That's why they are so easy to put on, because somewhere along the lines, we bought into this being the sole purpose of our lives. But they also block connection. They block healing. It blocks purpose. I want to approach this from a different angle. It is of my personal belief that everything that we are is a mere result of our responses. I want to highlight 4 responses specifically that are oftentimes disguised in a mask. Now, we won't go too deep on this part of the subject today, but I want to lay it out as we commit to embark on this journey together. Is what is known as the fight mask. When we wear this mask, we become the controller, the achiever, the one who has to win. The result we yield is only as good as the fight we have. The second response is what I would call the flight mask. With this, we must avoid emotion, outrun stillness, and stay busy. The third response is the freeze mask. Here, we numb out. We detach, and we keep peace at any cost. And last but not least, the fourth response I want to touch on is what is known as the fawn mask. With this mask, we please, apologize, overgive, hoping that love will feel safe. And here is something I know that all of these masks have in common. No matter how you shape it, at some point in time, they all have whispered, "Don't get hurt again." So to keep that from happening, it is protection that becomes our prison. Thank you, mask, for keeping me safe when I didn't know how. But I don't need you anymore to survive. I'm ready to live. We have inhaled so many lies. And after our time together, I want you to ask yourself something. I want you to ask yourself, what lie or lies have I inhaled? And what did I become to survive it? Because here's the thing. Masks are born from messages, consciously and subconsciously. You hear things like, "You're too much." So what happens? As a result, you shrink. Or be strong. So what you do is you never ask for help. Or don't embarrass us. So with this, you just perfected and mastered performance. Or what about, we don't talk about that. So you silence your story. Any of those resonate? Moral of the story is that we didn't just learn to hide. We merely just absorbed a lie that our truth was dangerous. So again, I want to ask you the question. This may be an uncomfortable question to ask, but what lies have you inhaled? Now, if I'm honest, there is a culture when it comes to us masking. On the other side of things, I would say that some masks actually weren't chosen, they were assigned. As a woman of color specifically, in culture, silence has become safety. In church spaces, perfection was holiness. In families, obedience was love. I learned something about systems. When a system rewards suppression, authenticity feels rebellious. And yet, contrary to popular belief, rebellion is exactly what healing requires. I want to share something personal, and I want to be real in the vein of us unveiling. I wore the performer mask for years, and I didn't even know subconsciously that I was wearing this mask. I made pain look so polished. I turned survival into success. I crafted a version of me that looked so strong. On paper, on camera, on stage. But underneath, I was exhausted, disconnected, afraid that if people saw the real me, they'd walk away. And maybe you know that feeling too. You learned to become what was expected of you just to be enough. You showed up for everyone, but never really felt seen. But guess what? That mask, it was never your identity. Your mask served you until it didn't. It protected until it suffocated. It empowered until it isolated. You don't need to hate the mask to let it go. You just need to thank it and release it. I honor what you protected me from, but I'm choosing truth over survival. Now, I mentioned on the first episode that whether you're a Bible believer or not, whether you know scripture or not, I want to give this to you in a way that I feel can be life-changing as we embark on this journey. So you may know the story back in the beginning in the book of Genesis, or maybe you don't. But either way it goes, I want you to picture something for me here. Picture the garden, the sound of footsteps, fig leaves, heartbeat pounding. Well, in Genesis 3:10, Adam says, I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid. If you ask me, that's the first mass in history, born from shame. Like, think about it. The first recorded moment of hiding. Adam and Eve covered themselves, and they did it instantly, not because they were evil, but because they were ashamed. But notice this. God still came. He still came looking. Let that hit you. The first people to hide didn't do so out of rebellion. They did it out of fear. Does that sound familiar? And yet love still came looking. God didn't abandon them. He questioned them, yes, but not to condemn, to uncover, to unveil. He asked, who told you that you were naked? In other words, who told you that who you are is not enough? Who taught you to be ashamed of what I made? Who convinced you to hide? And I believe that today, God is asking that same question. Not to shame you, but to gently restore what was lost. He wasn't condemning them. He was inviting them back to the truth. the truth of who they really are. I anchored us in this scripture the first episode that came from 2 Corinthians 3:18. And it is of my strong belief that as we are on this journey of unveiling, there's a level of unveiling if we are going to yield a certain level of glory that is required in this process. I want to remind us of that again. And again, I'll say, you may not know scripture, you may not know Bible, but I promise you, stick around long enough and it will make sense. 2 Corinthians again, 3:18 says this, and we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. What does that tell me? Transformation doesn't come from performance. It comes from presence. You know, every time you drop a mask, you reflect more of Him. Each unveiling reveals another layer of glory, another layer of truth. So the question you ought to be asking yourself is this: who am I without my mask? The real question is, what version of God can be seen through me once it's gone? Hiding is human, but healing begins at the point of truth. I would say that it's holy. And God isn't looking for the polished you. He's pursuing the present you, the one who trembles, the one who often questions, the one who's tired of pretending. And if you're here with me, I can almost guarantee that you're tired. But this episode isn't about blame. Again, it's about origin. In order for us to identify, in order for us to heal something, we have to trace it back to its origin. And once you understand what formed you, you can finally choose what will free you. The journey of unmasking is not self-pity or self-help. It is sacred. It is you finally giving yourself all the permission you need to be while you are becoming. Before we move into healing, we have to meet our origin, because you can't release what you haven't first understood. And this episode wasn't about blame. It's about origin. And it's okay to question what formed you. It's okay to rethink who you had to become. It's okay to outgrow the roles you learned in survival. But here's the truth. God doesn't just want you, your polished self. He wants the real you. And you are worthy. You're worthy of being seen. And as we continue this journey, I'm going to keep reminding you something. You don't have to hide to be holy. You don't have to perform to be accepted. You don't have to wear a mask or multiple to be loved. Because love already came looking. So, you made it all the way to the end of this episode. I want to let you know that you are being transformed from glory to glory with unveiled face. And though we still have so much to dig through, we still have so much to speak through, I want you to begin identifying the origin of your mask. We're going to continue this conversation, and more layers are going to continuously peel back. And it is my hope and it is of my sincere prayer that the light bulb, those light bulb moments? It is of my prayer that you start having those light bulb moments. And it may not be instantly, it may not be right away, but again, commit to staying here. And I can guarantee you that in time, from where you are today, you will not be the same person. If today's episode spoke to you, I want you to do something. I want you to share it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and follow us on social media at Unveiled on Pod. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm your host, Taylor Picot, and this is Unveiled the Podcast, where we drop the mask, face the truth, and step into the life we were created for. Until next time, I want you to keep showing up, unmasked, unfiltered, and unveiled. Tag a friend who needs this reminder. And take a deep breath, because the unmasking has already begun.